Meet Jeremy Thao, a writer and director based out of Atlanta who is receiving a lot of attention for his short film, Wok Man.
After working on many short films as an assistant director, Jeremy took the reins and utilized his connections around the Georgia film community to bring his personal story of an Asian immigrant family to life.
Welcome to Scratch, Claw, Push, a podcast about artists clawing out a place for themselves in the world. I'm Billy Jo Combs.
And I'm Brandon Duke. Let's go. So, welcome to the show, Mr. Jeremy Thao.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, y'all. I listened to. I was only able to listen to the 2 episodes featuring the both of y'all, and so it was nice to get to know the two of you a little bit better. And this is just a really exciting conversation. I'm excited to have with y'all, and it's really cool to see what you've built here with this podcast and kind of amplifying a lot of these creators around town. So that's really cool. I'm thankful to be here.
At the outset of the show, what we like to do is what we call the 60-second intro. Mm-hmm. It's basically where we're going to give you 60 seconds to tell us who you are and what you do. And again, Billy will sorry, go ahead.
I'll do the timer. I was going to say I had a thought on this and maybe, I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I'm like, I don't know if I messed up. I was going to say a lot of people try to get it in less than. I would say we should maybe think about making it like 21, like you just try to get up to, but don't go over,
Okay.
Use all your time, but
for sure,
but try to keep it under. So anyway,
for sure,
60 seconds
Absolutely.
or less. But I will caveat this, not to put extra pressure on you, but like the really good people can get it in 30. So we call that the pro level. But I mean, I don't want to bias you. 60 seconds is the cutoff. Billy, whenever you're ready.
Gotcha.
All right, and go.
Hey there, my name's Jeremy Thao, and I'm a screenwriter and director based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm working on a movie right now called Wok Man. It's a short film about the immigrant experience. It's loosely based off of my family, and it takes place in a Chinese restaurant. We've just begun our film festival circuit, and I invite you to come check that out in a city near you. And I'm super excited to be here with y'all today and to talk more about indie filmmaking and just what it's like to be an Asian American filmmaker here in Atlanta.
All right.
What was that?
You have 21 seconds left.
Look at that. Okay. See.
I was 40. Oh my gosh, that is hard. Wow.
You did that's pretty good, man. Like it's that's like, it wasn't quite 30, but you got like, you were closer to 30 than you were to 60. So
the second person to ask if they can start over.
You feel like you're talking for 2 minutes by the time you're done. But no,
looking at your IMDb, you've got like a pretty lengthy resume there as an assistant director. So
I consider this my second career in filmmaking, like kind of what I've got going on now. I cut my teeth in the industry as a non-union first assistant director. So I graduated from film school as a non-traditional student. I was almost 30 when I graduated college. And so I started freelancing as an AD around Halloween time of 2017. And, being an inexperienced non-union first AD from Athens, Georgia, like it was, it was financially pretty difficult. I mean, it still is now, to be honest, but, when you're competing against very experienced first ADs that are being shipped in from LA and New York, it was tough. And so I was very determined to keep ADing so that I could keep working with directors and producers and start learning how movies were made. And on top of that, kind of watching the ways that directors worked and kind of cherry picking elements and characteristics that I thought were effective and that I liked. And, you know, in addition to kind of realizing what I didn't like seeing from these directors and trying to stay away from that as well. And from the vantage point of an indie producer as well at the same time. And so, you know, I'm struggling financially it was pretty bad. And so it got to the point where it was like, I'm either going to have to like quit filmmaking for the time being to go make some money. Because mind you, you know, I wasn't 22, I was 30. And so I learned how to grip, and I started working grip and electric way more than I worked as an AD for a little while there leading into the pandemic. I actually I gaffed my first feature film a few months before the pandemic started. And so, but the thing was, you know, ADing and being a gaffer, those were ways for me to stay relevant in the industry and make money. But you know how it is being a freelancer. Like when you're not on set or making money, then it's your job to find the next opportunity to do so. And so, you know, you do that for a handful of years, and it's pretty easy to make the excuses like, no, I don't have time to write or be creative. I've got to do this other stuff. And so pandemic hit, and you know, everything got reset, right? And so that leads into the start of 2021. And so alongside this the start of the pandemic starts this very violent rise in Asian hate and all of this stuff that, you know, we're all aware of. And so, you know, I'm sitting at home, I'm working from home. So there's this group in town, this organization in town called Film Impact Georgia. And I will always champion for this organization. I credit them with changing the trajectory of my life and my career, but pretty much Film Impact Georgia, if you've never heard of them.
Oh yeah, I've been following them for a minute.
Yeah. So pretty much twice a year in the spring and in the fall, they have a filmmaking grant competition kind of thing where you submit a short script. The only two things that are required to enter this competition are a short script and an inclusion statement. In addition to that, you get to pick what you supplement alongside that. And so during this rise of Asian violence and hate and stuff, I was talking to a mentor and a friend of mine, and he was saying one of the most effective and immediate ways that we can start combating this is to share about our families and share about our stories. And so here I was, quarantined, 3 or 4 years post film school. I hadn't written anything in 5 years or so. And so, you know, in moments like that, it's like of this rising, very concerning rise in hate and violence. It's like you look at yourself and it's like, how do I contribute to this problem? And so, you know, yeah, I can protest and I can donate money and I can post stuff on social media, but it's like I had to look in myself in the mirror and be like, no, I am a damn good filmmaker, and I need to stop making excuses to not write and not direct. And so I was like, I saw on Instagram that Film Impact Georgia, their next grant competition had just started. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to share what it was kind of like for me to grow up as an Asian kid in the 90s. but I'm going to put a facade of a Chinese restaurant in front of it. Because here's the thing, no matter your skin color, how much money you make, or where you live, you've got a favorite Chinese spot, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, that's
I
like
needed
any small, like even if you go into like any small town in America, even the town that I came from, which was not like anywhere close to what you would call a cultural mecca, like like just small town in the middle of Georgia, we had a Chinese restaurant. So like I feel like that has become like a staple almost. Like it's funny that like that is one of the almost staples of like American culture. Like no matter where you go,
exactly.
there is probably a Chinese restaurant in town.
Also, it's really hard to find Hmong restaurants because trust me, I've tried and I've been to maybe 2 now. So
yeah. So Billy, you mentioned that. I really wanted to go into this part of the conversation. I saw that you're from Minnesota, from the Twin Cities.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's always exciting to me when white people know who Hmong people are without me having to tell them, right? And so like I was very excited to chat with you about that because I have recently begun building a relationship with the creative community in the Twin Cities and the Hmong community as well. So
the Minnesota connection strikes again.
Yeah, I was just there. And the very first public screening of Wok Man was in Minneapolis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was just in July. It was just I was just there. And so yeah, it was I love the Twin Cities. It's amazing.
Well, we'll get to that a little bit more, and I'll just tell you, I grew up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and my school and my neighborhood were at least 30% Hmong, I think. So I was sort of immersed in that as a kid. And yeah, there's a huge population in Minneapolis too, which is awesome. But the food, I remember the food from grade school, and it was so good. And I haven't been able to find it out in the world. So anywho, digressing to your point about you were saying the film impact.
Yeah. So I write the script over one weekend, and then I took the week off, and during the week my producer built our lookbook, and also during that same week I had a meeting with my writing partner from college, and then I spent a second weekend writing the second draft, which is the draft that we ended up submitting to Film Impact Georgia. And so, you know, I was using the competition as a box to force myself to write. I had a due date, I had, structure, and I had, I had a fire under me just to kind of to compete once again, right? And so, but not expecting to win was the thing. I just needed to finish the script because we were going to make the movie regardless. And so, 2 or 3 weeks later, we get an email saying that we were top 10 finalists for Film Impact Georgia, and that was super surprising and a real cool thing to hear. Still did not expect to win, but we got to we had to interview, we had to answer some more interview questions, and we were highlighted. It was super special. And about 2 weeks after that, on May 1st, 2021, so what they do is they list the top 3 people, and they put an hour in between each post. And so there was one other script that I thought could beat ours. And when they were listed as second place, I kind of knew what was about to happen, right? And so
cool.
I was driving home an hour later, and my best friend, who is also my producer, Sophia, she called me and she told me we won. And so when you win Film Impact Georgia, In addition to $5,000 cash, no strings attached, you can spend that cash however you like or need to. I mean, they've told me straight up, they're like, if you need to use some of that $5,000 to pay your rent for a little bit, like, we don't care. Like, you
Nice.
you need to do, right? And so, in addition to winning the $5,000, you get the mentorship of a film industry professional, and you tell Film Impact Georgia like what area of production you want a professional from, and they go and find one for you. Or if you have someone you'd like for them to approach on your behalf, they'll do that as well. And so what was really cool is back in film school, I met a really amazing Asian American producer named Jody Tovey. She's had many years of production with like Discovery and public broadcasting and all of these different places in New York, and she's a multi-Emmy Award nominated producer. She came to this tiny little gathering that I had in film school, and she and I were the only two Asian people in the room. And so I just walked up to her before she dipped, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to say what's up, and like, just want to like say that it's really cool to see like a really cool, powerful like Asian woman producer." And so that was that. That was probably back in like 2016, I think. And so I think she was living in New York at the time, and I kept track of her, and she had moved back down to Atlanta when we won the grant. And so I asked Film Impact Georgia if they could please approach her on my behalf, which they did. And she came on, and she immediately became our first executive producer. So in a span of 48 hours, we went from like having nothing to winning $5,000 and having an Emmy caliber executive producer like supporting us.
Yeah, it sounds like when you pulled the trigger, when you decided to pull the trigger on this thing, it came together pretty quickly, almost like it was meant to be.
Yeah, this has all just happened so fast, right? And like, it has been one step after another. So that leads into like, we have this $5,000 check, and it's like, as a first AD, I have worked for 3 highly successful indie short films that had hella big crowdfunding campaigns, you know what I'm saying? And like, supporting them, you know, I wasn't a producer or creative, but just being on their crew, you know, giving them a little bit of money and sharing their stuff on socials. I started to really see the amount of work and the kind of work that was required to make straight up like $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. I was really paying attention. And so when we got the 5Gs, I was like, it's my turn, dude. I'm going to go for $30,000. But here's the thing. The budget that I turned into Film Impact Georgia was a $30,000 movie. I was not trying to hide a thing. The Chinese restaurant can be considered cast number 1 in my movie. I needed a real place. And so
that's funny, because I was wondering, like, did you actually shoot it in a restaurant, or did you? I know you probably would have to do that for the kitchen scenes, but like I was looking at it, going like, I wondered, like, did he like just fully just go in there and just take over somebody's joint?
We did, and I'll tell you kind of how, and it's connected to the cast, and so like it kind of goes into what you're saying, Brandon, of like how it's just like it's been a little serendipitous. So I'm like, I'm going to turn this $5,000 into 30. And I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And it's going to have to happen right now. The steam is built. Like when we won the grant, dude, it was May 2021. Quarantine is still happening. The Asian hate and violence stuff was like still very, very much happening. And like when I won, when this Asian face won with the hella Asian story, it was like really special to the Asian American community here in Georgia. Got a lot of DMs from strangers just talking about how amazing it was, and it's like my story is an afternoon in a Chinese restaurant. Like that's it. And 5 years ago, who knows if I would have won this, but I think it was time. And so anyway, we used out of the $5,000. I dedicate $1,000 to film a teaser. And then I spent another $1,000 to pay a graphic design artist, a Hmong woman from Wisconsin, actually. She designed all of our branding and our logos and everything, like this. Like she designed like all of that stuff. I needed the confidence of professionalism in my social media, because I knew that the social media was going to be literally the only way I was going to make this movie. Mm-hmm. Building a network months before I leaked anything that we were going to have any kind of crowdfunding campaign, right? And so you start building these genuine relationships, and then it's like, boom, 3 months later, yo, by the way, I'm doing this movie thing, and I would like to welcome you to come be a part of it. And it was just an amazing experience to go through that. We raised 107% of our goal, and we raised $22,000. In addition to the $5,000 that we won from Film Impact Georgia, we immediately had a close to $30,000 movie. And so we cast 2 of our stars for the teaser, our boy actor. It leads into the location. So our boy actor, his mom is a grown-up Chinese restaurant kid. She and her older brother now run the family restaurant after their father passed away. And so this restaurant has been in their family for like 30, 40 years.
Wow.
Just coincidentally, right? And so I go and have a private meal at their restaurant with the mom and the uncle. And we just started talking, and it's just like, pretty much the uncle tells me, like, my nephew's success is tethered to your success. And so I'm going to help you every way I can.
That's
this
awesome.
Family, so you know how some Chinese restaurants, they're closed like one day of the week, and it's usually like a Monday or a Tuesday, like one of the slower days. So his best friend, they own a Chinese spot in Johns Creek, and they're closed every Monday. And so he was just like, yeah, it's free, dude. Don't worry about it. Just come on Mondays. And so 2 Mondays in a row, we took that place over, man. Moving boots, like movie magicking it, you know what I'm saying? And like the production value, it is higher than anything I could have imagined or dreamt of, to be honest. And so, yeah, we're in a real Chinese spot, and it's pretty amazing. The community and the team, like, I was just simply trying to steer the ship is how I genuinely felt, you know? And
yeah, because it sounded like the community really like rallied behind you like very quickly.
Yeah.
Like just from like all sides.
Very much so. From the indie film side, from the Asian American community side, you know, I spent a long time as a first AD helping other people bring their stories to life. And, you know, doing it like with genuine passion, and helping these people, like helping them bring their stories to life in the most professional way possible. And so you do that for years and years and years. And then when it's my turn to sit in the director's chair, it was like I was able to hand pick some of the most talented creatives in Atlanta who are my friends, who I used to first AD for, and being like, yo, like, I'd love to collaborate with you again, but in a much different fashion. And so just like that, like my main editor, like my editor hired me for my second ever professional gig after I graduated college, like 5 years ago. and now we're like huge collaborators. And so that was awesome to get the support from there. But then again, like going back to the Asian American community, where it was like, we had this huge thing with Crazy Rich Asians back before the pandemic, and it was don't get me wrong, I love the movie, it's great, but it's
But
still
that's
a little
probably not
fantastical.
representative of the Asian community at large. Like not everybody gets to go party on the big building in Singapore.
Exactly. That is not very accurate of the more average immigrant experience here in this country. And so, but it did do great things in terms of throwing a spotlight on a lot of talented Asian American folks. And so I jokingly say the unofficial code name for Wok Man was poor immigrant Asians, just kind of showing a much more realistic day-to-day immigrant experience. And so with the success also of Everything Everywhere All at Once, seeing a little bit more of a realistic Chinese family in that as well, in terms of like running the laundromat and what have you, I think it was very refreshing for a lot of people in the Asian American community here in Georgia because here's the thing too now is like, I'm Southeast Asian. I am not East Asian. A lot of the Asian representation in America is still East Asian, Korean and Chinese and Japanese. And so it's even more exciting when you go down to the layers of why it's important for me to also talk about my Hmongness and the fact that my parents are war refugees. I will always make sure to mention that, to talk about that when I can. And so the community built around us all the way beyond the production budget. We've been blessed with opportunities to screen our movie in front of very special crowds. A little bit more financial help to help with film festivals. It motivates me as a filmmaker to like, I'm playing with thousands of other people's dollars. I'm very blessed that have I spent any of my own money? You better believe it. Yes, I have, but I didn't max out a credit card. I'm not tens of thousands of dollars in debt to do so, which I'm incredibly blessed for. And I use that inspiration to, I'm currently working on the Wok Man feature as we chat right now.
Oh, nice.
Because as we start our film festival circuit next week at I don't know when this will air, but on September 21st, 2023, we're having our world premiere at Morehouse College. And home of Spike Lee, Samuel L. Jackson, John David Washington, you know what I'm saying? And so it's super, super special for us to be world premiering here at home in Atlanta. But as we start visiting these festivals and we start shaking hands and going to parties and stuff, I really want to have my treatment ready for my feature in my Google Drive. So as I'm meeting folks and they're, when they start asking like, what's next? I can easily drop them a link or something. So that's kind of what I'm up to right now.
That's cool. You sound like you definitely have that kind of like be ready so you don't have to get ready mentality. Cause it's like, I'm hearing a lot of proactive, like vibes, coming. You're like, you're not sitting around just waiting, like, okay, let's get it going. And that way, if when the opportunity comes, you're just ready to go.
Yeah, that's you're totally right, dude. Because I mean, dude, I turned 35 on August 26th, right? And so like, I'm not the youngest man in the world anymore. And on top of that, like, I'll be straight up too, dude. Like, my producer and best friend. So Wok Man for me has been an unpaid full-time job for 2.5 years, which is fine for me. But I've also had certain people who have also been unpaid, essentially working full time for a long time. And so it's like, and my DP, y'all would love to hear this. My DP was my first mentor I ever made in the film industry. My DP is like a 63-year-old white guy. He's a MOVI and anti-gravity rig specialist operator. And so he has been a DP for 30 years, but mainly in the commercial world. And he really helped me break into the industry in terms of, in more of a emotional and mental fashion. And so when we had the money and I was starting to look for crew, he came to me and he was like, yo, dude, I totally understand if you want to get an Asian DP, totally get it. But I love you and I love your story and I believe in you. And I just want to let you know, I want to throw my hat in the ring. And if you want to bring me on, both of my reds, all of my lights, all of my lenses, and me, I'll come for free, dude. And I was stunned. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a grown ass man with four kids and a wife and a home. And he's going to rock with me through pre-pro and through principal just for me and my story. And so I gave him a little bit of money that everyone made a little. The only people who didn't get paid are me and my producer, right? And so we gave everyone what we could, but a literal fraction of their day rate, as both of you know. And so I think about this stuff and it's like, I don't feel like I owe them anything, but my genuine desire to love and support them like they did me, like it gives me so much motivation, right? And so I failed out of college 3 times before I turned 20. I have been that scared, lost, inactive person. And I feel like I'm behind in a lot of ways, like financially, retirement. My parents are getting older. You know, like my old man turned 63 in December, you know? And it's like, I need to start making money. And so proactiveness is it's all over the place. You know, like I can't sit still. There are too many people that are, I don't want to say depending on me, but looking at me, right? And I have people to take care of. And so I know that what I have like in here is worth a lot of money. I have worked for people lesser talented than me, making hella money in this industry. And so like I am gunning for it. And this proactiveness is like the only way I know how to start going after it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Billy.
I was going to ask, you know, you mentioned kind of at the beginning, but we kind of jumped right into the story. You mentioned that, you know, the place of desperation that you were at when you saw that ad. And, you know, just feeling like I need to either get a full-time job or I need to do something over here. I'm just curious about that because I've been in that place myself so many times, and I think a lot of artists have. And I'm wondering what drove you to go, no, I'm doubling down versus no, I'm retreating?
So this story is actually, it's not the main reason, but a big ingredient in why I doubled down is actually a pretty hurtful story that became a really loving story. So the Thanksgiving before I won the grant, which would be, Thanksgiving 2020, right?
1 year.
Excuse me. So 1 year, yeah. And so we are having lunch at my parents' house a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. And like I was saying earlier, my parents are getting older. For the first time ever, we had like an uncomfortable talk about like wills, and them passing away and stuff, right? And that was they kind of blindsided us with that. Like I was not expecting that, and that like really made me emotional. And so I was already kind of quiet and just kind of sitting there, kind of taking it all in. And then my mom says, in front of everyone, she looks at me and she goes, Jeremy, me and your dad want to help you financially, to go get a different and second bachelor's degree and change careers. And like that really deflated me heavily. Mind you, I'm the only person still in my family to have a bachelor's degree. I'm the only person working in the field that I want to be in, right? And so, but that was just completely ignored in that moment. And I actually, I dipped, I left lunch, and I was like, I don't know if I'm coming to Thanksgiving, dude. And so, which I did end up going, but in that moment, I was like, damn, maybe I should for real, because it starts getting to, and it's like, what other opportunity am I going to get for financial help to get another degree? And I'm like, maybe I can convince them to turn it into a master's instead of a second. I start thinking like this going into the end of the year, 2020, going through the holidays, every time I see them, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I'm like, shit, maybe I should do it. Then
well,
January
it's because at a certain point in your life, it's I've already heard people jokes it's all sounds really cool to be a starving artist until you start feeling some actual hunger pangs, and it just past a certain age, it's not sexy anymore, because reality intrudes.
Well, and let me just throw in there, I don't think it's as hurtful. The hunger pangs you can deal with. It's honestly the judgment of other people, and like you were saying, being oh, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm older than I'm feeling that need to be further along than I am. And people are watching you, especially if you're the only artist in your family, as I understand, where you're just you already feel like you're the odd one out. And then to have that on top of it, where people just don't quite understand you, right?
Yeah. And on top of that, feeling like they put me on blast, in front of my siblings and my sister-in-law, and it's just yo, am I going crazy here? I'm the only one who's been to college, under this roof right now. So it's just
and I'm sure probably, and being, coming from an immigrant family, the pressure's even more, because that's almost I'm my wife is South Asian. So a lot of her friends, there's actually one of my good friends, the South Asian guy, he has one of the few people that doesn't have an accounting degree or something in STEM, he's a journalist. So and then someone of course is hearing that and joking wait, you were allowed to do that? It's even another layer of pressure, I would have to imagine.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. And so what's really cool is there's this Hmong news anchor in Des Moines. His name is Chinu Her. But before he got that gig, he spent a year as a reporter for 11 Alive here in Atlanta. And during that year, we had lunch and we became friends. And so I was sad I was sad but very happy when he got that major promotion and moved out to Des Moines. But when that happened, he told all of his friends at 11 Alive, he was like, if you ever need an Asian American or a filmmaker quote, you should hit up my boy Jeremy. And so just like that, a few of his friends started following me on Twitter. And so when we won the grant, my buddy Joe Ripley at 11 Alive, he hit me up and he's like, yo, bro, I would love to share about Wok Man and you winning the grant and everything on the news. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, dude. And so he was like, where would you like for the interview to be? Like for your background. And I was like, wow, like I get to choose this. And I was like, let's go to Chinatown. And so there's this really beautiful courtyard at the Atlanta Chinatown, which is admittedly a small but awesome Chinatown. But we go do the interview in Chinatown, and we talk, and just like that, like the next day, I have a 60-second segment in addition to like a page long interview, blasted all over 11 Alive, which my parents and my family saw. And so feel like, this was maybe June of 2021. So just 8 or 9 months earlier, they were saying, like, we want you to go get a different degree and a different career. But then they just saw me on TV. A Hmong person on TV is not a common thing to happen. And so when they saw that, I think what happened was, like, I now call it like the immigrant parent, like white people approval thing. It's like I was everywhere and on the news. And that article, 11 Alive, kickstarted a bunch of other amazing media things for us. And I think that told my parents, or signaled to my parents, that like this may be for real.
Yeah, that's I was actually just thinking like now that you're on the news, that makes it real. It's not just like this guy, you're not out there just kind of like trying to live this fantasy. Like now it's like, hey, no, this is my job. Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a huge spot in the Athens Banner Herald, close to our hometown. And, so my mom actually texted me the day after the interview, and she was like, we just saw your interview. We're rooting for you. Keep going. And I'm like, it's game on, dude. Like, it's now I've got what I felt like I needed to like go, you know what I'm saying? And so like a few months after that, August 2021 on my birthday, we're getting Chinese barbecue for my birthday, and my mom, I invited my best friend and producer to come with me so we could talk about Wok Man and truly explain to them what was going on. And my mom said to me, if I was born in this country, I think I'd be a novelist. And I almost started crying, because in that moment is the first time I think that I actually realized that my parents did not really get to pick many things in their lives, their careers, where they lived, and I was just like, I cannot believe I just heard that. And I cannot believe how much I needed to hear that. And that moment has been a huge source of inspiration and motivation for me. I think about that moment all the time. And so that motivates me to become a better screenwriter. It motivates me to make money and help them retire, And so it's been an amazing journey. It's hard to believe that we're just now starting our film festival circuit. It's been going on for so long. But I used to think I was a big, big loser. It wasn't until maybe last year I started telling friends and family I failed out of college 3 times. I lied about that stuff to the closest people in my life for years, say I'm taking time off or what have you. And so I now need and want to use that to motivate other people who may have these stumbles early on in early adulthood. And on top of that, my youngest sister, she's still in high school. And I have a 4-year-old niece and a 2-year-old nephew. And, they see me on the news and they see me on YouTube and stuff. And it's like, Uncle Jeremy's like a celebrity. And like, I need them to see me being really good at something I want to do. Because I need and want them to go have very amazing college careers and livelihoods doing what they want to do. And, you know, being the firstborn American child of war refugees, I find it's very important that I help make sure that like the next generation of little ones are not going through a lot of the same struggles that we did growing up and are afforded more opportunity. And so it goes beyond whether or not like all of the stuff that we're doing, it's just a lot deeper than that, you know. And but I'm very, very thankful for opportunities like these, you know, just to chat and to share.
Well, I actually heard about your story because a friend of mine, I believe, has a small part in the film.
Who's that?
Melissa Lowe. I don't know.
Dude.
Yeah, I went to college with
Melissa.
her. So, like
I love Melissa.
She mentioned it a while back, and then I found out about it, and I started looking into it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then like I realized like, oh, this is a Georgia guy too. So, you know, I've been following it for a while, and then I saw you're finally getting ready to release it. So I was like, yeah, I've been keeping track of it. And your lead actor, he probably can't say anything right now because of the strike. Kurt Yu, for anyone out there who's well, we can mention him because, you know, hopefully it's just us here. Like we're not in violation of any SAG-AFTRA rules.
Yeah. And Wok Man was done on a SAG micro budget agreement, and so we're clear to talk and everything about that. Yeah.
Awesome. So, but your lead actor, people might recognize Mr. Kurt Yu or Yue. I'm told like people often mispronounce his last name. So Kurt, if you're out there, I'm sorry if I butchered it. But if you go watch the show, Kurt is the ME on that show. So if you see him and go, that guy looks kind of familiar, now you know where you know him from.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, you know, when creating this script in particular, you wanted to, you know, put that facade of the Chinese restaurant in front of your, you know, sort of own experience or story or inspirations, right? Do you have any plans? Because, you know, you said you think it's important to, and I agree with you, like you're Southeast Asian versus East Asian. So do you have plans to tell more of a Hmong story at some point?
Absolutely, I do. I've got a couple things cooking right now. It is, I briefly want to talk about why I did put that Chinese restaurant facade on everything. Excuse me. So after credits, Wokman is 16 minutes and 25 seconds. I was hoping for 16 minutes. But so every frame is super important in a short film, in all movies, but in a short film, it's like, it's got to matter, you know? And so the history of the Hmong people in my opinion, deserve more than a quick summarization before I throw a short film story plot on top of it and just go. Because, you know, there are many Hmong families who run Chinese restaurants, Thai restaurants, Vietnamese restaurants, what have you. But the thing is, I needed the viewer to immediately know where they were, what kind of place it was, and the type of people that are there. I needed them to know immediately, because, you know, it's like I'm trying to pack a feature's worth of stuff in like 16 minutes, and so I felt like not only was the Chinese facade a better storytelling element, but it was just kind of required for efficiency. And to be honest, for personally, just so that I could be one degree removed from Hmongness. Like I didn't need or want Hmong critique of any cultural kind during or after the making of the movie. Like I just could not handle that.
Right.
For a bigger budget, more prepared thing, oh yeah, I would be down, right? And so going up to Minnesota recently and meeting a lot of Hmong internet friends. I met them for the first time in person. That has been a huge source of inspiration for me. And there is actually a Hmong creative, pretty well known out of Minneapolis, a chef who I'm not going to name really, but we're kind of brewing some stuff up together right now that are directly focusing on the Hmong people's involvement in the American War in Vietnam. And so I've got a war thing going, and I've also got like I kind of want to do something like a chef's table kind of thing that features Hmong culinary powerhouses right now. And so those are kind of some Hmong-centric things that I've been pouring a lot of attention into as of late. But yes, I definitely do want to do something that is heavily featuring my people, and I can't wait for the opportunities that'll come along with that to allow me to more thoroughly explain about our history and our people and our presence here in the United States. Yeah.
So let's tell the people like where they can find you online if they want to at you or learn more about your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love for y'all to give me and Wokman a follow on socials. On Instagram, I am at Jeremy Thao, Thao. Wokman is spelled Wokman. If you search that into all social media, you'll instantly find us. And yeah, so every festival that we visit, we're going to be highlighting a Chinese takeout spot in that town. So I invite y'all to come check us out. And every Tuesday, we highlight a different mom and pop restaurant that we want to throw some love at. And so we invite y'all to come give us a follow, see where you should go eat next. And yeah, I really appreciate it, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah,
Absolutely.
wishing you all the success. It looks what I've seen of it looks good, and then knowing like some of the people that you've worked with, I'm really excited to see it, and I hope you get that feature version out there.
Thank you for real.
That will be all for this episode. To keep up with the show, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Scratch Claw Push. If social media isn't your thing, you can contact us at scratchclawpush@gmail.com. This podcast has been a Carcutta Media production. For a full list of our podcasts, go to carcuttamedia.com/podcasts. This recording, or any portion thereof, may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without the express written permission of the publisher, except for use of brief quotations in review. Copyright 2023 by Carcutta Media, LLC. All rights reserved.